Wow. Okay.
I gotta make
us to believe a lot, movie.
I gotta make myself really small because he's on a soapbox.
I was wondering why you were crashing down over it.
How's it going up there?
We also have to. We got a video that we have to address. We gotta talk about it, and that is
know who you are.
That is our Alita Battle Angel review.
Yes.
That is currently our most hated review on this channel.
Yes.
It's currently our most hated review. Like, people were genuinely pissed off with us, with me, calling us names. I have deleted upwards of 19 comments so far.
Is that all?
Yeah, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but given the size of the channel, we're around like 300. So that's a lot for us, to go through. And every now and again, I get it. Every now and again, I got to go through, delete a comment, or or send something to spam or something like that. Every now and again, it comes up, and every now and again, I'll get just somebody just being mean or whatever. But this was the first video review that we have done that garnered such a negative response to it. And I was curious. I was just kind of like, I was thinking about it for a second. Just for a second, I thought about it. I was like, were we too harsh? Were we too? What do you think? What do you think, Will? Were we too harsh on that movie?
I liken us to Goldilocks and the Three Bears. We weren't too hard on it. We weren't too soft on it. We were just right. Absolutely. We were like the porridge that wasn't too hot and wasn't too cold. It was just right.
And I'll agree with you.
Yeah.
I'll agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to hold my stance on it.
Yep.
As far as the movie is a very middle of the road film.
Yeah. Again,
it is what it is.
Well, again, I kept my notes.
Mm-hmm.
It was still my little binder here.
Right.
We gave it the praises for what deserved to be praised.
Exactly.
We kind of called out the stuff that didn't make any sense because it doesn't.
Exactly.
And I noticed some things that the guy, I saw the comments, was like, "Oh, he's a perv." I was like, no, because again, it's an issue of when you kind of put in CGI to real stuff.
Right.
You're taken out of the kind of world that they're trying to pull you into, because your brain and your eyes are trying to figure out what's different. Yeah. It's like, that doesn't quite look right. Why is this looking like that? And like I said, one of the CG, as I mentioned, from her, again, what does that say, Sir Michael? That says, Alita, very real, good CG. It says GG, but that's okay. GG, but that's okay. So there's some stuff like with, the girl's figure that just didn't work, because you're like, well, and then they showed her robot shell, it looked very androgynous. But then when she put her shirt on, all of a sudden now she's, a developing young girl or something. And it just didn't quite work. It's like, I mean, is that a little bit being finicky and being kind of, I don't know, being... It
doesn't break the movie, but
no.
Something.
But it's something you notice, like, that's not... But here's the other thing. It means it's inconsistent.
Yeah.
And if you notice these inconsistencies, whether it's with the story or the character or bad editing, you're like, well, what happened? Why am I jumping all around? And there's some pretty good movies that were edited horribly that you're like, that doesn't make any sense. And so you see, again, now you're breaking yourself out of that world that you're trying to get into, that we've seen in movies in the past. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
You also have to look at it in terms of the story, and to addressing an argument that I was having was just like, okay, you have this city that thrives on technology, and you have this ship that has technology, and it's been there for X amount of years. I'm just like, somebody's gonna try. Somebody is going to try. It doesn't matter if somebody's like, this city thrives on technological advancements.
Right.
This ship is just sitting there.
Right.
With nobody, and nobody's messing with it.
Right.
It's like, come on, man.
Seriously.
Come on.
But they've already established at the beginning of that movie, because when we first started, it jumps right in. Right. And the character, the main doctor, was
Alfredo.
was shown rummaging through the debris from the stuff that fell from the sky, from the Sky City. And I'm like, okay. And it showed other people. It showed other people rummaging through the garbage. Exactly. And I'm like, well, that means people want that because it's, first of all, it's free. Why not take it?
Right.
And there didn't seem to be, and that's the thing I just kind of was weird. It's like, outside the city, it looked really nice. I'm like, there was no ravenous beasts running around.
There was no explanation as to why
more people weren't going out there. And I'm like, are there like dangerous criminals? Are there wasteland people who will steal your body parts? Because that was a thing in the city. Is that worse outside the city?
I've gotten excuses that are like, well, it's too far. And I'm like, well, far is relative. You know, if you figure that out, they got there that morning and they stayed there the whole day. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. I'm like far is relative, you know. And I said, I gave it an out. I said, like, look, you could have took that ship and put it under the protection of the bad guys. They don't want anybody getting to it. Sure. And she's the only person that can get to it because of how strong and how, you know,
it's a very little thing you could do, and we'll talk about a little bit in game. Like I said, a little thing you could do to make it, again, you know, if we're being the armchair general or armchair director in this case, to say, well, if we did it differently, this would happen or whatever.
Right.
And I'm not saying we know more because obviously we're not making $1 million movies or $1 billion movies at this point. Exactly. But at the same time, we're people like the people who made the movies. We're not different from them, other than they just, you know, work in Hollywood and they've written movies or whatever. I mean, that's the thing.
Don't think for a second that we feel that we are better than the people that are making the movie. Don't think for a second. Like, you know, look, we make YouTube videos. We're sitting here, we're making a YouTube video. I can tell you that it's been hours of editing and hours and, you know, just sleepless nights sometimes to go through into putting this stuff together. You think I don't know how hard it is to make a movie? This is a fraction of how hard it is to make a movie out there. We know, we get it. But at the same time, you still have to, like, it kind of makes sense, movie. You know, you got to look at the writing and say, like, okay, well, then maybe this doesn't make sense in the context of what you've just set up. And was it in the manga? Sure. But does that mean it's right? You know, does that mean it's still, I'm like, okay, well, if it's in the manga, okay, well, that means it doesn't make sense in the manga too, if you really think about it. So it's like, you have the opportunity to just change it. It's a small detail, but at the same time, you get rid of a bunch of questions that you don't have to ask anymore because now you've switched it up a little bit. It was like, well, this makes more sense to do it this way because, and I know it's this way, but look, it makes more sense to do it this way. And now we eliminate a bunch of questions that people are probably going to ask about this or whatever.
I don't know. And it's kind of like with trying to think with one of the movies that someone said, well, if you go back and you read the comic and you watch this other show and the cartoon thing, you'll understand why. I'm like, okay, if I have to do all that to see a movie, then the movie's not a very good movie because now I have to do homework. To go to see a movie. And oh goodness. Now it's different as opposed to the Marvel movies because you're setting them up as a series. So if you're referring to the series of movies, that's fine. But if you're going outside of that particular genre, no.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly. You know, like, we're not going to, like, you would be more forgiving of just like, oh, well, what's this character all about? And I was like, well, heck, like, you've got 20 movies here to catch up on.
Right.
You know, so I'm like, you know, that's different or whatever. But like, this is legitimately the first movie in a series that's going to be a series. I hope it does. I really do. I genuinely do hope they actually come up with enough money to make a sequel for it, or just say like, you know what, we're just gonna do it anyway. You know, I hope they do because I'm interested enough to want to see a sequel. But at the same time, like, what I'm getting at is like, this is their first movie in a series. Like, okay, so you gotta take your time and build this. You know, like, you can't throw so many things in here, so make it so dense, so that you sacrifice things that, you know, a good movie should have. A good movie should have proper character development, relationship building, and stuff like that. And it's like, it's not to say that it's completely absent from the film, but because there's so much going on, it takes away from that, and you don't get to experience that. So it just kind of like, what winds up happening is like, it's just stuff happening at this point. Right. It's not like you're experiencing this with the people. Yeah. And it's just like, it's just stuff happening on screen. It's entertaining stuff, but it's not like, I'm not really 100% invested in this as I could be if I spent some time. You know, it takes time, slow down, build your characters,
right.
You know, build your relationships and everything. So when something good happens, you're right there with them. And when something bad happens, it's a punch in the gut, you know?
Right.
So,
but that's the thing. You have to some degree, you have to kind of do the slow build. It's kind of like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, you know, the Hobbit and the Two Towers and the Return of the King. And I remember my sister didn't see them in the theater, so I had copies. And so, I mean, I'd come over and my dad and my sister and I would watch it. And I'd already seen it. And my sister was really interested in the movies. And so, you know, I brought the DVDs over and watched them. And I remember her at the end of the Two Towers. And my dad thought they were pretty good too. And he's way older. So he had a good time. He might have fallen asleep a few times because they're really long. He's an old guy, but he enjoyed it. He goes, yeah, he was like, yeah, it was pretty interesting, you know. And that's high praise from him. My sister, though, at the end when like Frodo and Sam at the end of Twin Towers with Smeagol were going and they were looking over it, my sister goes, oh my God, that's the end. Oh my God, what happens? And she was on the edge of her seat going, ah. And so you had built the characters so well and established them. Now, again, they were long movies, but you really could get into it. And I don't think, because Peter Jackson and the actors, of course, the whole thing, it's just not just one or the other. They all have to kind of work together.
Exactly.
The music was good. The effects were good. The editing, directing was good. The characters really got into the characters. The world was really, really immersive too. And everybody, I don't think there's anybody going to argue with us on this in this channel or any channel is going to say, oh, the Lord of the Rings were crap. No one is going to say that. No. But that's a testament of how all of that works together, both the world, the actors, direction, the editing, the music, everything, to really bring you and draw you in and to keep you in that world so much that you go, how long was that? Oh my God, that was that long? It didn't seem that long.
You didn't even feel it. Exactly.
And then you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. In fact, my sister wanted more.
Yeah.
After the Twin Towers, she's like, oh my God, no, we can't stop now. So she was so invested in that. And she's older than me. So it's not like, you know, she's a young kid, like, oh my God, no, she's older than me. She's my oldest sister. She's quite a bit older than me. That held her interest, and she wanted to keep going in that story because it didn't cut away and go 5 years later.
Yeah.
It built things up. Alita Battle Angel was an okay film.
Yeah.
There was some major inconsistencies. There was major exposition.
Yes, a lot.
A lot of
and it had to be for the sake of where a bunch of stuff was jammed in there.
It really was. Yeah. And it was some of it was cringy, like I wrote bar speech. It was just kind of cringy.
Yeah.
But and a lot of movies suffer from the sort of convenient things, the convenient bad guy entrance, the convenient this, that, or the other thing, the convenient robot suit in the ship.
In the ship.
It's like, why not? Why was there one full suit? Why not bits and pieces strewn about?
Exactly.
Oh, she has to do other things to find them. Oh, why not do that? I don't know. Why not? Why not? If she's going into the ship and discovering a dead body. Oh, someone tried to get in. Something. Yeah. Like, oh, someone else tried to get in. Exactly. Oh, what? And then that would make, and that would make it a more interesting thing. It's like, what do I do? What if I do the wrong thing? And so now you're making it more interesting. It's like, what if she does do the wrong thing? See, now you're making it like a kind of a tension moment. It's like, what if I didn't enter that code? What if I hit the wrong button? See, it's
and also, this is going back to that. If you would put the ship under the bad guys, even if it was just the one body, if you would put the ship, well, now they have a reason to guard it.
Yes.
Because now we're just like, oh, well, we know this tech can destroy us right here.
Yeah.
We don't want anybody to get their hands on it.
Right.
We're going to put it under guard right now. So it's even if it was the one that suit, it's kind of like, all right, well, it makes sense that it's under guard, you know?
Well, they made a big to do. It was like, well, that's the enemy technology. We're not going to mess with it. But at the same time, if it's the enemy's technology, would they want the enemy to get it? Why would they not, I don't know, put it under protection, bring it into the city and, you know, guard it or something, you know, put the really slow moving walking robots to guard it. That way they don't have to go get it. They can just stand there and turn, you know.
With as much technology as being used in that city, that ship should have been bare bones.
It should have been. It really should have been. It really should have been. But that, like I said, that's the other thing I didn't understand was like, it was just sitting there with the one robot suit that miraculously worked for her. Oh, what a choice! What are the chances of that?
Yeah,
it's not like, oh, we have to modify some stuff. Oh, look, I found part of an arm over here, and I found a leg, and oh, look, here's a broken part of a torso, and here's another piece of a torso. We can put them together and cobble together an actual working suit. No, it's just a hanging suit from a rack of 12 that just happened to have one left. It didn't. It's like, oh, I have to figure out which of these 5 left over actually work. No, it's like, okay, that might be a little bit kind of just being kind of pedantic or something. I don't know, but it's something more than just the one that happened to be there.
Yeah,
it's like it's Excalibur sitting in the sun. It's like, oh, I just happened to look by.
It's how it compounds upon itself.
Exactly.
She happens to be in love with this one person who happens to know about this ship that happens to be outside.
It's the circle.
No one happens to ransack or anything. That happens to be in working condition. That happens to be on a ship that she can interface with. That happens to have a suit that interfaces perfectly with her.
Oh my God.
That is a stretch, man.
Go, Mike, go. Go, Mike, go.
That is a stretch. I'm like, when you start, it's not just that it's like, okay, yes, there's the one suit. Fine. You can probably overlook that. It's the thing that it just compounds on itself. It goes this, then this, then this, then this. I'm like, wow, okay. I gotta make us to believe a lot, movie.
I gotta make myself really small because he's on a soapbox.
I was wondering why you were crashing down over it.
How's it going up there?
But no, that's not even what I wanted to go to kind of rant about or whatever.
That's not what did you wanted to rant about? Hang on, I can put my seatbelt on for this one.
No, I'm gonna try to be because it's not really. It's not for our subscribers or our regulars that watch us because they're fine. They are very respectful. I appreciate every single one of them. We appreciate every single one of you. You come on there, you leave respectful comments, whether you agree or disagree with us, or whether you're just like, and some people are just like, hey, I see your point. I disagree with you, but I see your point.
And if you like the film, then keep liking the film.
Exactly.
If you don't like the film, you're welcome to not like the film. And here's the thing. If you like the film but had some issues and you saw it, you're like, oh yeah, that really kind of bugged me too. And then kind of go, yeah, that kind of, I don't know. Mm-hmm. And so it might change your mind. It might not. Again, if it does, great. If it doesn't, great. And if whatever, I mean, if it doesn't, then no problem. And keep going on with your lives. Yes. All that is terrific. Yes. Again, we've mentioned before, we're not trying to tell you to like or not like something. We're not saying, well, we think it's stupid and it sucks. We're not saying that at all. We're saying, well, these are the things we like and these are the things we don't like.
Yeah, or these are the things that are good and these are the things that are bad. And like you'll never hear that come out of our mouths. You can go back to the first video on this channel and see like that never comes out of any of our mouths to whether to like or dislike. And
I will say this, I'm going to show this. You can't read my handwriting, but this is the notes I took for Alita. And as you can see, on this side it says pros, this side it says cons. Okay, so again, I'm jotting stuff down in the dark. Every now and then I look for my phone. This is for the next one. I'm not going to show what it is, but on this side, on my right, your left is the pros, and this is the cons. As you can see, it's about even. Yeah. So I'm being fair, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I was like, no, I don't know if that makes any sense.
Exactly.
And there are times when I've written 3 pages, which is scary. It's like that's a lot wrong with the thing, and that's a few of the ones that have come out in the past. But
and it happens. I mean, it's like the thing I want to for people, like I say, it's not our subscribers. It's just people who come in and I understand you have to reach new people and stuff like that. Yeah. That's, you got to reach people in search and people that are looking for these terms. I'm like, I know all about the SEO stuff and everything. You're going to reach new people. That's you're trying to bring other people in. I guess we're trying to do that. We're trying to build the community and everything. Right. However, the one thing I will say, like, you have to understand the purpose of critiquing of movie reviews and critics and stuff. If you are coming to any channel, if you are going to any website and reading a review, and your purpose is to have your feelings validated, I will go on record saying this. You are reading reviews. You are watching reviews wrong. That is not the purpose. We're not here to confirm your feelings about something. We're not here to tell you whether you should like this or whether you should not like this. We're here to tell you this is what's good, this is what's bad, and sometimes we'll make a judgment based on that. It's like, well, the bad kind of outweighs the good, so it's a poor quality film. Right. But guess what? Some of those movies that are poor quality, we still like. Yep. Some of those movies that are of good quality, we still like. I don't really care for it. It doesn't change anything. Right. That's all we are here to do. We're talking about this is the pros, these are the cons. Like he's got written down on his. I write down stuff. I write stuff down too. Look, you got this. You got this. Hey, look, the bad outweighs the good here, so that means it's a poor quality film. Yep. So hey, sorry.
Based on our interpretation.
Yes. Yes, exactly. On our standards, this is where this lies and everything.
And he invited me to join him on his channel, which I appreciate, because he and I are similar ilk in terms of we like some things, but then again, there's some things he's like, well, he likes more than I do, which is fine. Exactly. I'm looking at his selection of movies, and pretty much what I would more or less pick, and there's a few like, oh, that's interesting. So there's like, I don't know, like you got an X-Men cartoon, I thought was really good, but I don't have that collection. I don't have a lot of collection of movies, but these are nice. I mean, I would probably pick them, and so he and I are similar in terms of our thought process,
similar taste,
similar interest.
We don't always agree 100%.
Well, who's your favorite Marvel superhero?
Spider-Man.
See, mine's Captain America, and we're cool. I totally get Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man. He's like my second.
I like Captain America.
Yeah. So. And they're both kind of average, normal guys that just something unusual happened to.
Yeah,
So they're both good, wholesome kind of characters that then were kind of call to action, as I say.
And the thing is, it was this particular review, because I watched other reviews on Alita Battle Angel, because like I said, for a little bit I initially did get concerned, like, are we too harsh? I'm like, let me go see some of these other reviews out there that people have talked about or whatever, and it didn't matter which way the person swayed, whether they felt like this was a good film or they felt like it was a bad film. They gave positives and negatives. It didn't matter which way it swayed. Every single comment section was like, you need to shut up and enjoy this movie. And I'm like, so why are you here?
Exactly.
Why are you here? Why are you watching this movie? Why you watching somebody else? You obviously have your own, feelings on the film.
Yep.
So why do you need somebody else's validation? Why do you need to go to somebody else and see what they think about it and have the mentality, you better agree with me? Because
you're a duty head. That's why. Duty head.
Like, why do you need to do that? That's not why we're here, And I know, like, this is always the excuse that I see all the time. I haven't gotten it personally, but I've seen other people get this excuse. It's like, well, it's the internet. If you don't want to get chastised or stuff like this, it's the internet, man. And I'm like, look.
Then take your ball and go home.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to go. Bye.
I want to punch a hole in that right now.
Right, yeah.
The internet is exactly what you make it.
Yep.
This channel right here, McBlam Entertainment.
This one.
This is what we make it.
Yep.
So if we don't want negativity in here, guess what? There ain't going to be no negativity in here.
Bye-bye.
Maybe
I can do that.
There have been people who wholeheartedly disagree with us on Alita Battle Angel and have very respectful comments. One left a very heartfelt comment about how what the romance meant to him. I know we didn't really comment on that a whole lot, but it just he left a very heartfelt comment. I think it's a he. I'm sorry if I'm making a wrong assumption. I'm sorry, but if you're watching, I'm sorry. But
don't apologize.
The person left a very heartfelt comment, and it was actually moving to actually read that and see, like, this is what this movie meant to him. This is what the romance in this movie meant to him. It actually was like, man, that touched me a little bit there. I like that. You know? And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with, like, don't take it as a personal attack. We talked about this like a few weeks ago or whatever, but when someone is critiquing something, and let's say you love this movie, it don't matter if it's Alita, it don't matter if it's like a Marvel or DC movie or whatever movie you might be watching. When someone's critiquing it and they lay out the good and the bad, don't take that as a personal attack. It has nothing to do with you.
Right.
And if I'm being honest, look, like I said, I appreciate all three, I think it's 313 right now, all 313 people that are subscribed to this channel. Thank you so much. We're not thinking about you when we're reviewing the film. We're thinking about the film.
Yep.
We're relaying stuff to you.
Yeah.
And we like having conversations with you after we reviewed it. And it's just like, we're talking the comments and stuff like that. But just as you go to watch a movie, you ain't thinking about us. You're thinking about the movie. You're thinking about what's right in front of you. And that's exactly what we're doing. And we're relaying what we see, we're going to, like I said, we're not always going to see eye to eye. We don't see eye to eye with every single subscriber out there and everything. But the point is that they can still come in and leave constructive criticism and say like, well, you might be wrong about this because X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, oh, you know what? That you might be right or whatever. Or I might look at it and say like, well, you say X, Y, and Z, but you still have to worry about A, B, and C and stuff. You know, we can talk. We can talk about stuff like that. You know, like I said, it's just don't go to a critic to reaffirm your feelings or anything like that. That is not, we feel how you want to feel. And if anything, use it as a learning experience or whatever, because you might not be able to reconcile something emotionally, and you might see this and you're just like, oh yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And then like William was saying earlier, just like you might think about that and be like, maybe I can't overlook that now, and it's kind of messing with me. Or you might just look at it and be like, oh yeah, I recognize that's a problem, but I freaking still love this, you know? Hey, you know, I can look back on certain things and look at that now. I look at Mortal Kombat. I loved Mortal Kombat as a kid. That first movie that came out.
Yeah, it was good.
I love that movie.
Yeah, it was really good.
You know, and like I look at it now, I was like, yeah, it's really silly. But I still love it. You know, I loved, you know, what was it? The second Ninja Turtles movie that not the practical effects one, the CGI one that came out under Michael Bay's
recent
one.
The
Out of the Shadows.
Yeah,
I know. And the 10-year-old kid in me was just like, man, 10-year-old me loves that movie. And I still do. I still like that movie. But I recognize that movie does not make a lick of damn sense. Recognize it 100%, but I still love what I'm seeing in front because I'm just like, hey, I'm just having a good time. I'm having fun. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, there's plenty of good movies out there that I'm just like, meh. You know, I can't really name one off the top of my head, but I'm just like, meh. Just know that when you go into a critic review, whether you're reading it, you're watching a video, whether it's ours or somebody else's. Like I said, this is not for the people that are subscribed for us. I already know them, but it's just like, you know, this is for the people that are going to be
the drive-bys.
Yes,
the drive-bys.
Exactly. It's like you're going if you're this is why you're watching this. You know, I love this movie. Oh, there's a review on it. What does this guy have to say about the film? Just sit and listen.
Right.
If that's your goal. I mean, or you come across an article or something. What does this guy have to say about this film? Read it and just take in what you feel is useful. And if you don't feel any of it is useful, because to be fair, there are quote unquote critics out there who just want to smash on movies.
Oh yeah.
Just want to, but if you go in and feed into that, then you're giving them what they want, obviously, because they go in, they say like, oh, this movie's trash.
They're poking the bear, and you're falling right for that trap.
Exactly. So I'm just like, those people, I know they're out there, and I don't even give them time of day. So I'm just like, I see the video, click right off of it, just go on.
And I've showed you some of the people that, again, they do it as a kind of a farce to make fun of the movie to some degree. Kind of like, what's his name, Ryan, who does the Screen Rant pitch meetings. Again, he pokes fun at, you know, the absurdities of some of the directions. Like, so you got a movie script for me? Oh yeah, and then he goes, well, why is that? Oh, no reason. Yeah. You know, and we're like, yeah, exactly, perfect, right. That's what we're a big we're a big fan of because he pulls it apart, and we're like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense either.
Exactly.
And so we're like, yeah, okay, now did we still enjoy the movie? Sure, but listening to him make fun of it made it, in some ways, to me, made it more enjoyable because I'm like, oh, that's funny. Yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, what's going on with that? And so that's a great point.
Yeah, and well, it is. Like when like the guy the video we were watching earlier, and he's just like, you know, like the guy, they do it to be funny,
right?
You know, they make fun of stuff, they poke fun of stuff and stuff like that. But sometimes comedy is sometimes the best way to get people to realize how absurd something
is. Right, exactly.
You know, so.
Exactly.